Dear students, dear colleagues, welcome to our Doctoral Day 2021. My name is Jana Hančlová and I am responsible for science, research and doctoral studies. We prepare a program for you with my colleagues. This program is divided into three main parts. Firstly, basic information about doctoral study at our Faculty of Economics. Secondly, specific information about each doctoral study program, including some tips and advice of PhD students. And next, Professor Libich will recommend to you how to prepare syllabus or doctoral thesis. If you have any question for us or for our faculty, you can connect in the chat section. We are for you. We are ready to answer your question after each part of presentation. We can start with my first topic. I would like to ask to open my presentation. Yes, thank you. I give you some information, general information about doctoral study. Next slide. Yes. What is content of my presentation? We would like to answer some question. How does the study works? What study programs do we offer? What will be content of the doctoral study? What is course of doctoral studies? How to cover the living cost of full-time study? How does the admission procedure work? What is content of the entrance exam? What will studying bring to me? Just now, first question. How is the study going? Graduates of master degree programs can apply for admission to doctoral study. We have accredited doctoral study which lasts 4 years. After graduation, you obtain PhD. It is possible to study in full-time or part-time form of study. It's possible to study in Czech or in English. The study consists of a study part completed by a state doctoral exam, and also a second part is scientific professional part, focused on the elaboration of a dissertation completed by its defense. We use a credit system for evaluation of the courses and also your study. These have at our faculty accredited 4 doctoral study programs. First one is economics. Guarantee for this program is Professor Macháček. And second one is economy and management. Guarantor is Petra Horvátová. Finance, which is guarantor Professor Tichý. And last one, system engineering and informatics, where I am as a guarantor. How is study organized? As I mentioned before, we have 2 main parts. First one is study part, and you can receive 80 credits. We have some compulsory part, which are courses on quantitative method and economic analysis. Also economics or optimization for study program system engineering and informatics. Also some professional program exam and English language. Elective choice is usually one or two subject according to your specific interest. As I mentioned before, the final part of this study is state doctoral exam. Individual study program also includes scientific professional part, which is needed to take 160 credits. It is for publishing activities, participation in a research project, also some pedagogical activities and other compulsory internship abroad, and some another creative activities. This part is closed by doctoral dissertation thesis. And what about time during your doctoral studies? First year, usually there is time for English language course and exam, as I mentioned, economy or optimization, quantitative method of economic analysis. Second year of study is exam on program study, also some elective subject exam, and also there is possibility to do during all years publishing activities in journal or papers at conferences, pedagogical activities, and also to take part in solving some research grant. We have, especially for doctoral students, students grants competition, and also there is possible to solve some another research grants with as a member with your supervisor. Compulsory is internship abroad. Third year usually is a state doctoral exam and possibility to take part in the internship abroad, and also defense of your thesis. And last year is doctoral thesis preparation and defense of this doctoral thesis. And just now, how to cover the living cost of only for full-time students and also for Czech students. We have regularly monthly scholarship for Czech students. You can see. And there is also another motivation for improving level of this scholarship after your exam. Next, you can also receive money if you solve some research grant. And you can also receive some accommodation scholarship. You can receive another extraordinary scholarship. It is usually, for example, for extraordinary scientific activities, active work, for example, for preparing doctoral conference, MECON, and so on, and also teaching. Other students' benefit are usually fair discounts, discount on cultural performances, discount on some another products, and so on. And how does the admission procedure work? First one, you prepare topic with consultation of your future supervisor. It will be last part of our meeting. Some details. Next is approval of a head of the department. It is needed only for full-time applicants. And after that is submission of the admission application, which is in electronic form. And you can see deadlines for English. It is to the end to February, and for Czech study program, it is to the end of May. After that, the administrative fee of 500 crown must be paid, also to the same deadlines as before. And after that, it is needed also to submit the syllabus of your future thesis. This deadline is later. It is by the June 9 for English part, and also the 1 day before for Czech study programs. For this thesis, it is needed to solve topic and subject of this thesis, and expanded definition of dissertation. It means objective and result, structure of work, applied method and methodology, and structure bibliography. And last is submission of the following documents: copies of documents of your previous study, completed in master or equivalent level, recognition certificate of previous education, especially for English study programs, and also to send curriculum vitae, copy of valid travel document, and language certificate for English study programs. And what is the content of the entrance exam? Entrance exam consists of knowledge discussion from a chosen study program with respect to the topic of dissertation thesis. Some parts is also for Czech study program in English. Entrance examination takes place at the admission committee appointed by the dean of the faculty for the given study program. This committee will evaluate the individual parts of the examination by a score from 0 up to 100, and the candidate succeeded if he or she achieved at least 51 points. Detailed information about the admission procedure is on the web pages. First one is for English study program, and second one is for Czech doctoral study program. And the deadline of the entrance examination is June 16 next year. And what will study bring to you? The study graduates obtain PhD. He or she is ready for an academic career in college. He or she can habilitate after 3 years from graduation if the qualification conditions are met. he or she became a member of the international scientific community. She can apply for grant support at both national or international levels. He or she is free to research on any interesting topic. And just now, I would like to introduce two assistants for doctoral studies. For English doctoral studies is inženýrka Šárka Michalíková, which is also here, and she will be prepared to read your question from chat. And also, second one is inženýrka Sylvie Želásková, which is assistant for Czech doctoral studies. You have contact for both, and you can also use this contact for another question. Just now, we can continue. Do you have any? Yes?
Mm-hmm. So why students cannot choose their own order of subjects?
I cannot
choose their own order of subjects.
There is some special rules for incoming students that there is possible also contact some supervisor, and there is possible to specify topics together with students and supervisor. But there is needed such topic also evaluate by scientific board of doctoral study program. It is the reason that it is needed, but before entrance exam evaluation. Yeah. Thank you. It means that just now we can continue with the second part. It means that we have at our faculty 4 doctoral studies. First one is economics. Professor Macháček apologized for this meeting because he have some another meeting in the research committee. It means deputy for Professor Macháček is Professor Libik, also from the Department of Economics, and I can give the floor to him.
Can I please have a remote?
Yeah.
Can you please put on the presentations? It's on the desktop. Wonderful. Thank you for having me. My name is Jan Libik. Where's the camera? So it's what it's shooting. Okay. I'm really pleased to be able to talk to you all on the topic of economics, my area, which I'm very, very passionate about. So let me give you some brief overview of what you can expect and why we believe that this is potentially the right area for you. So obviously you can study in a face-to-face format, you can study in a kind of some combined format, you can study in Czech, you can study in English. We've got a very long tradition. It's been 30 years. We're very proud of what we've achieved over the 30-year period. And obviously it's got some kind of continuity from our master degree programs in many areas. And it should be said that we're one of the very few universities that still offer a program in economics. To my knowledge, there's only 2 other places. Now, what is it that you are going to get up and completing the doctoral studies in economics. Obviously, you're going to be very familiar with microeconomics as well as macroeconomics, all the various aspects. And you'll be able to analyze, you get some really good skill set to be able to analyze both theoretical and empirical problems. So you'll be able to develop and install models, you'll be able to analyze economic data and come up with possible kind of policy conclusions or some interesting findings. And what we strive to do is to really focus on the applicability. Okay, so we're not so focused on the theories, but it's more about how you take those theories and apply them to real world problems. Because as you would have noticed, just listening to the news, watching TV, there are many problems in the real world economy, in the global financial markets. Things like bubbles developing. We've got the COVID pandemic. We had the global financial crisis, 10 years ago, from which many countries still haven't recovered. So there's so many topical problems that need more research, and that's why we need you, and we'd be happy to have you. So as Jana mentioned that there's many ways that you can kind of apply your skills. Obviously, in your further career, you can be an academic. However, you can be in a research center. You can be an analyst in a public or a private company. You can be a chief economist, and so on. So there are many doors that will open to you up and completing a PhD program if you show that you can do independent research and apply it in real world contexts. So this is just a joke that that can be used to demonstrate the state of the economy at the moment. Now, let me possibly just highlight the fact that there have been many very esteemed economists that have come through the program. Professors Fried and Komárek at very top position of the Czech National Bank. We've got Associate Professor Tuleja, who's the Vice Chancellor of the Silesian University in Opava. We've got Professor Melecký, who's at a high-level position in the World Bank in Washington, D.C. Some other chief economists in the private sphere. So there are many people, and in fact, at the faculty, there's still some of them still work there into this very day, and they contribute with their knowledge and skills as well as PhD supervision. So these could be potentially your supervisors. We've got some international students as well. As was mentioned here earlier, you can work on various grants. It could be government grants. It could be the faculty grants. So there's many ways that you can get involved. In terms of the exchange programs that our PhD students have gotten engaged in the past, we've had very good universities, University of Reading, George Washington University, places in Italy and many other countries. We've also had some success, in various kind of awards and competitions. And there are ways for PhD students. I mean, what we want is our PhD students to feel a part of the team, so they're treated as everyone else. We've got these regular research cafes where people, including PhD students, can present their research and basically get some feedback and interact with everyone. So this is an initiative where you can really get more kind of sucked into the research vibe of the department. So let me just conclude. There's various topics that our previous PhD students have done their research in, and after the conclusion of this section, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about how to put in a PhD proposal. So I might give you a few more tips, but at this point, I think that's enough for me, and I'll be happy to pass the floor to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation, interesting. And just now it's time for a presentation of the doctoral students from this study program of economics. And this is engineer Daniel Pakshi. He is in the first year of the doctoral studies. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I don't have a presentation, but I think Professor Lebig summed it up pretty well. The main reason I'm here is to tell you, to motivate you, because as Professor Kanchela said, I am here only for like my second month, but I don't regret anything. It's really intense. It's not easy, but if you are interested in those topics that you have seen, and I can put the people to those topics who work on them, and those are really interesting people who are there before you. And I am so bold to say that there are still quite a lot of interesting people, and you can be one of them. So I would like to encourage you, go for it, because it's really flexible. You can do whatever you want. You can teach, you can research, but you can do so many other things. So I would advise you to go for it. Just try it. If you don't like it, you can leave. But it would be a really shame if you wouldn't try it if you are interested in any of those topics and if your schooling lessons are interesting for you and you are not here just to get your title. So that's for me motivation for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just now, do you have any question for study program on economics? No? It means we can continue with the second study program, economy and management. I would like to introduce docenta Horvátová.
Thank you. So my name is Petra Horvátová. I'm responsible for the study program Economy and Management. Let me introduce you this study program briefly, and then one of my students, Erka, will tell you experience with her study of this study program Economy and Management. This doctoral degree allows, by its structure and content, focus to link to the knowledge and skills gained from master degree, and it's knowledge and skills associated with the study of various subjects that are in connection to the functional areas of business systems. Within the scientific research preparation, students are trained in a subject including application of exact methods. In the study, students process research and also professional work using scientific methods and approaches. Here you can see aims of the study. We can say that the study objective is to provide subject purpose, aim and project-related preparation for future graduates of this branch. Students gain knowledge and skills regarding to scientific work system, also knowledge in methodology and methods for formulation, as well as verification of scientific research and knowledge thesis, and to address practical decision-making situations. The acquisition of knowledge and skills is oriented to the fields of business economy, management, marketing, business finance, and business law, and also human resources. The final target application of acquired skills and knowledges in the study aims to proceed of invention doctoral dissertation paper. And graduate of this doctoral study program can act as senior members of legal or economic department, or as a business managers, HR managers, academic staff members, researchers, consultants, and etc. And the graduates can act both at home and abroad, also with regard to the level of the foreign language knowledge in this field. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please write them into the chat.
Yes, and just now I would like to ask Terka for some specification of the doctoral study program.
Hello, my name is, I'm sorry, I don't have a presentation in PowerPoint. I have just some notice. My name is Terezie Krestová, and I study program economy and management in a part-time. I was a teacher in a department of management, and now I'm on maternity leave, so you can study in every situation if it is necessary. And now I just submitted my final thesis, and I will have final defense in December, I hope. So what I realized during the processing my doctoral thesis, the way couldn't be as straight as you wish at the beginning, maybe, and you can meet some obstacles during your studies. So don't be afraid to discuss your topic with your supervisor, with other teacher, with other doctoral students, because there is all the time someone who can help you to continue with your research. Don't be afraid of opposing views, because sometimes you have bad revision or your paper is rejected. So at the beginning, usually I'm really angry and upset with that. But after a few hours of thinking about that, I usually find more information about it, and sometimes it is really helpful to continue to have this new view. What is good? Be involved in student grant competition, because or other projects, because you will be part of the teams, and you can see your work from other perspectives. Don't be afraid of exams, because when you pass the program at the master level, you have a lot of knowledge, and you only extend these knowledges, and I don't think the passing exams is a problem. It's a really good way how to get new information about the methods and this stuff, and it really can help you in your work. Participate in the conferences, because you can try to present your work, you can get good feedback. Very good opportunity is go to the MECON conference, which is organized by Ekonomické faculty. It can be the first step how to try to speak with other researchers who can get where you can get a good feedback for your work. And last but not least, if you think you are in a dead end and you are not able to continue, and also maybe other people can help you, don't be afraid to modify or change your topic, because it is also the way how to finish it. And I think it's all from from me, and if you have some questions,
Thank
feel free
you
to ask.
for interesting tips. And just now I have question. No, it means that we can continue. I would like to apologize, Professor Tichy, grantor of the study program of finance. It means that we can continue with the last study program, system engineering and informatics. And because I have first presentation, I can give floor to our students from this study program, Inženýr Švaňa.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Miloš Švaňa, and currently I am a second-year PhD student at the doctoral program, Systems Engineering and Informatics. And I am here today to tell you a bit about this program and also about my personal experience so far. But maybe before we get to that, I'd like to talk a bit about what actually is a PhD from my point of view. And the main thing the PhD is about is that you are basically training to become a researcher or a scientist. And maybe this is an important question for you to ask before you apply. Is this a career path that you would like to personally pursue? So continuing with this line of thought, as a scientist or as a researcher, you are expected to communicate through various types of publications, journal articles, and also conference papers, maybe even book chapters. So you have to expect that you will have to read a lot of work others have done in your field, and you are also expected to publish something yourself. And most of the publications in an ideal scenario will be published in English. So this is also an important aspect of your work as a scientist or as a researcher. So again, I think it's important for you to consider if this is something that that's for you. Okay, so now a little bit about our study program, Systems Engineering and Informatics. Even though we have informatics in our name, it's not only about computers. I think one of the biggest advantages of our study program is the fact that we can stick our noses everywhere in many different fields. Currently, we have many different projects that are related, for example, to decision making, to fake news detection, to smart cities, to education. My dissertation, for example, is related to finance. So as you can see, there are many different areas you can study. Under this program. What this program is mainly about is that we develop mathematical and data processing methods that can be then applied in all these various fields. That said, I think a good question to ask if you want to know if this program is good for you is if you like mathematics. And by that, I don't mean that you have to know everything about mathematics. Probably no one does. Even the best mathematicians just know mainly their area of focus. But basically, if you see a mathematical program, like problem, what is your reaction? Do you think it's that it could be fun to solve the problem, or do you think like it's boring and not that interesting? So if you are in the first group, definitely you will feel yourself at home in this study program. Finally, one of the most important, I think, advantages, at least from my point of view, and also from the point of view of my younger colleagues, other PhD students at our program, is that our department is really informal and friendly. We are a pretty small department, and basically we all communicate on the first-name basis, which, for example, at least for me, is a type of communication I prefer. I'm not really into using academic titles and so on. So this is something. If this is something that you also prefer, I think this might be an advantage for you. Okay. So now maybe some pieces of my personal experience. So as I mentioned at the start, you will be expected to publish, but don't be afraid, because most publications actually have multiple authors. As you will see, it is quite rare to find a paper or an article that has only one author. So you will be writing your publications in a team, and your older colleagues are there to help you. When you start writing your first publication, maybe your supervisor or some other team members will guide you, will help you to start writing. They will tell you like which part you should take, which part of the article maybe you should focus on. They will provide feedback on how are you doing, what can you make better, and so on. So it's not that difficult as it might seem. Now I want to talk a bit about the teaching part of the PhD experience, because this is also a part of your studies. You will be teaching classes, mainly exercises, and for me, I just want to say, I know many people are afraid of this part, but I think it can be a very fulfilling experience. And yeah, one of my favorite moments is when students ask, I would say, relevant and intelligent questions. So, for example, I teach a course called Quantitative Methods, and already on the second exercise, we were starting with the topic of linear programming. Many of you are probably familiar with. And one of the students asked me, what if we wanted to optimize more than one objective function at once? Would it be possible? Like these kind of questions, it was a very good question because it's a pretty advanced topic. These kind of questions, like they really motivate you to keep going. On the other hand, what I would say about teaching is that there is one part that is very boring, and I think even my older colleagues would agree on this. And this part is grading and basically testing students and this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, this will be done only occasionally, maybe once per semester. You might be asked to help with grading some student projects or so on. So I think it's not that big of a deal. And finally, I want to talk a bit about money. As Professor Hartula already mentioned, there are many opportunities to receive additional grants to your that can, let's say, improve your monthly income. And what I would say, at least at our department, there are so many opportunities for different projects, different kinds of projects. And personally, I actually am in a phase that I have to say no to many of these opportunities, many of these projects, because, well, it's too many. So if you join us, you definitely don't have to worry about having some additional income. And we will definitely find some interesting work for you in the area you are interested in. So that was all from me. And if you are interested in the study program, you can ask me anything. Just drop me a message. Here's my email address. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. And do you have any question or comments? No? It means we can continue with the next part of our meeting, and it is answer to the question how to prepare the syllabus of the doctoral thesis. I would like to ask Professor Libik to say to us these advices.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. I would like to give you some brief advice on, if you decided that this is something that you would like to pursue, one of the requirements that you put in a PhD proposal. So that's one of the things that main things that I want to talk to you about today. And as you see in the picture, you probably have a number of questions. Now, there are all these guidelines that I'm sure you may have seen. One of the ones in Czech tells you the kind of bits that the proposal should have. Things like you should specify the topic, you should have some literature review, you should have some kind of contribution and expected results, and some structure, as well as all the various methods that you're going to use. This may all seem very abstract, and you may not quite know what it's about. So I want to give you a little bit more of a detailed kind of insight, maybe a bit more meat, if you will. Okay, so one of the key things that I think most of you have to decide before you study, or before you put the proposal in, is whether you think you'll be focusing more on economic theory or whether you'll be focusing more on empirical economics. So what's the difference between the two? Well, the theoretic part is, you know, economic theorists or theorists in the specific areas in finance or system engineering, they basically put together, you know, models, mathematical models, and then you solve the model and you try to kind of find some interesting insights from that model. Alternatively, in most of these areas, you could be doing empirical research, which basically means that you'll be kind of collecting or using various data and performing econometric kind of regressions in order, or various econometric methods in order to be able to kind of find something from the data. Okay. Now, obviously, there are some of the top papers would combine the two. So there would be a theoretic contribution through a theoretic model, and then there would also be an empirical contribution. But at the PhD level, you're certainly not expected to provide contribution in kind of both areas. So one of the things you really want to think about in your proposal and also in choosing your supervisor is whether you're leaning more towards theory, more like, you know, economic modeling and mathematical methods, or whether you really are more interested in data analysis, you know, econometrics, regressions. Okay, so this is one of the key things. Now, you don't have to, if you're not sure, you don't have to make a firm decision now, but you still want to give, in your proposal, you still want to give some indication of which way you would like to go. Okay, either more theory or more data. There's another thing that you might, again, it doesn't have to be a firm decision, but there are basically two different types of theses. The kind of older style was that you write one big, massive thesis, which is kind of all linked together. More modern style, and that's kind of what pursued at most international universities, is that PhD students write separate papers. So an academic paper can be around 30 or 40 pages, and it's basically like a self-contained piece of research that can be published in a journal. And that type of thesis is basically you write those 3 separate papers, and then you write up a kind of introduction and conclusions that tie it all together. Okay, the advantage of that approach is that, and obviously you have to discuss it with your supervisor, but the advantage of that would be that you don't have to spend additional time after that by breaking it up into separate papers and sending it to journals and conferences and so on. So I would strongly advocate this kind of approach where you really, and it also makes you more disciplined, because if you have 30 or 40 pages for a paper, you really think more carefully about what to do rather than writing a 200 or 150 page thesis and you just put everything in. Okay, so that's another thing that you should think about in your proposal. Now, obviously, in terms of the literature review, before you choose an area, you need to read widely. So, you know, you do some kind of library search or Google search in the kind of area that you're interested in, so that you can find all the papers and you try to read as much. But one thing I want to say, don't worry if you're not sure exactly what your topic will be, because you can always change it. You're not expected at the time of putting the proposal, and you're not expected to actually know exactly what you're doing. In fact, most researchers, when they start writing a paper, they still don't know what they're doing, because the one thing about research is that it kind of guides you. Okay, you never know what the conclusions are going to be until you actually do the research, until you analyze the data, until you solve the model. And very often it happens that you're surprised. You realize, oh, I haven't thought of that before. There's this interesting implication, and that's exactly why we do research in a kind of more technical way. Why we use mathematical models, why we use thorough data analysis, because it gives us more and deeper insights when compared to when we just think about a problem. It's very hard for us to incorporate everything into our thinking without writing it down as a model. Okay, so again, don't worry, don't spend too much time searching for the perfect topic. I mean, there's no such thing, because all the easy or great topics, they basically have been taken, and there's constantly new topics that pop up. I mean, now, for example, I'm sure you've seen the talk about inflation on the rise. And it creates so many interesting questions. For example, you know, the Czech National Bank started increasing interest rates dramatically in order to, you know, basically holding inflation back. But if you look at the European Central Bank, or you look at the Fed, or you look at the Reserve Bank of Australia, they basically haven't started increasing interest rates. In fact, they're still doing a lot of quantitative easing and you know, making money available and cheap money available. So there's many different approaches, and you know, one of the questions could be, well, what's right? What should we be doing? You know, is it okay that we've had interest rates at zero for such a long time? You know, and so on. So there's many questions that kind of constantly arise, and that you might be interested in tackling. Okay. One of the again, and this would be more in the paper, you really want to highlight the contribution. At this stage, don't worry about it too much. You still want to write what you think your contribution might be, but again, this is not something that you know until you actually do the research. So it's kind of more like your expectations or your ideas. It was mentioned here before, but you know, in your studies, you will probably encounter ups and downs. I mean, there are some challenges, but perseverance is the key. So even when you're struggling with putting the proposal together, you know, come back to it every day. Even if you're not sure what to write, you know, just come back, have a half an hour slot, you know, here a few times a day, and just always write a bit. And you know, this consistency, this perseverance will really get you to the end. So the people who are very successful in life, they're not the people who never fail, but they're the people who fail, and when they fail, they get up and they learn from the experience, and they're able to change things and you know, turn it from a negative experience to a positive experience. So there's many online, and you know, in the era of internet, this is just so much beneficial because you can find all the research online. So you can sign up for various notifications for various research forum where you get, for example, the new you know, if you're interested in monetary economics and you're interested in finance, specific corporate finance, or any other area, you can sign up, and every week you will get you know, notification of all the new papers that are coming out on that particular topic. You know, you've got conference announcement. There's many different, and your supervisor would obviously guide you in that. So here are some suggestions on, you know, by some top economic writers on how to write and how to put in proposals and papers. So I think, and one of the things that, you know, this is one of the things that I'm interested in, and I go to high schools in the Czech Republic and talk to the students about how to study effectively. So this is also something we can help you with. There are many different techniques that we would encourage you to look into if you have time. You know, things like typing faster, improving your speed in terms of reading, because you will be reading a lot. There's many ways that you can improve. So, you know, I recently got into these memory techniques where you memorize things like that, or, you know, you memorize the pi, and so on. I've got about 500 digits now, but I want to do 1,000. So there's great techniques. So, you know, we can help you with these sort of things. I think I'm going to finish now because I would like to give you an opportunity to ask questions. But again, we'd be very happy to have you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're all here to help, so just shoot us an email, and we can help you with the proposal. Anyway, we all look forward to welcoming you here at our doctoral program, and I can pass it back on to the director of the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any question just now in chat? No. It means I would like to thank you for attending our meeting, and I hope that I meet you during your doctoral studies, and also I wish you all best in future. Thank you very much to all presenters, speakers, and I can close our doctoral day for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.